Thank you for joining us. This is Jeff with The Jeff Show. Of course, Sharon as my co-host, and today we are joined by Jonathan Doe and Regan Fox from Putrid Productions. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Of
Thanks
course.
for
Thanks
having
for
us.
having us on.
Yeah, it's great. I know it took a while to work things out. So it's 4th of July in the United States. It's still World War III outside, right? Fireworks are going to be going on for probably another week. Did you guys do anything fun for 4th of July?
You can go first, Regan.
I did. My youngest son, he's 6 years old. He is on the spectrum, and his special interest includes American flags. So this was his favorite holiday, and so of course we celebrated. We went and saw the fireworks, and he was very excited. So
That's cool.
yeah.
I just hung out with family and I have a sister on the spectrum and she's into sparklers, so we did sparklers and um I lived in California most of my life and there's strict limitations on fireworks, but now I'm in the Pacific Northwest and it's like a free for all. So it's crazy like going into like Walmart and going into just stores and they just have like gnarly explosives and yeah, like it sounded like war out here. It was like way more fireworks than I'm used to. And speaking about true crime, the first thought that went in my head, I was like, this is just like basically like free access to like explosives. Like, how come no one's like done an attack with fireworks? Like you just stick it under a car or something. Not to
No,
give
not
any
to give
or
ideas.
whatever, but it's
Yeah.
just such an
Uh,
easy thing to get a hold of.
I think people used to put them in letterboxes here in Australia, the small ones.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
really?
And yeah,
Like an M80, something to kind of blow up the mail inside.
yeah, do a bit of
Yeah.
harm back in the day.
Ooh, have you seen the butterfly effect?
Yeah.
Where
No.
they put the thing in the mailbox and just ruins everything.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well, as you mentioned with true crime, I'm also paranoid. We were watching fireworks from the house. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go out in crowds. That's like the perfect time for like a mass shooting. And my dad, everyone's like, come on, dad. I'm like, no, I'm serious.
No,
So I'm
this
gonna,
same, yeah, like
no,
uh, I don't do midnight screenings anymore because of James Holmes.
yeah,
Oh,
I was
that's,
just afraid there would be an ice raid,
yeah,
personally.
That's
I
fair.
agree. Yeah, no midnight movies. Yeah, going to any premiere, kind of plan where I sit. I like the back where it's kind of got like a spot you can hide if you have to. It's weird that you have to think that way, but that's what we
that's
do.
insane.
Well, it's weird that I bought my kid some light up shoes because he all the kids have them and stuff, but then I was like, "No, you can't wear those because if there's a school shooting and you're hiding, those shoes are going to give you away." And he did not understand, but I was serious. I was like, "You we're not wearing those to school."
And I'm surprised they don't maybe enforce that at school because we have those type of drills, right?
Yeah.
Possible shooter drills now that the kids have to go through.
Yeah, my kids came home and they were saying, "Oh yeah, we have an active shooter drill." Like it was nothing. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, "Oh, that would be traumatizing for me as a kid, thinking about there might be someone who comes in and tries to kill me at school." You know?
Yeah.
It's still a thing in Colorado. I think it was a year or two ago. It was at a grocery store, there was a shooter out front. I've only been here for 5 years coming from Arizona. It's different. Arizona, it's more gang related. Colorado's just got Jean Benet, Columbine. I don't know what's in the water. It's definitely different out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
have, I mean, to me, when I think about states and true crime, Colorado's like one of the hot spots. I mean, almost the cases I'm most fascinated by all happened in Colorado, you know.
Yeah.
James
I,
Holmes, Columbine, I mean, more infamously, like the Chris Watts murders. And that's like probably a 40-minute round trip. I think I looked it up because I was planning on doing like a dark tourism thing. Like you could hit all those spots in the day.
yes, you can.
It'd be tricky to get into Columbine because it's a school, but um yeah.
Yeah. I've been to the parking lot and just the thought of like I want to go to the left side of it where they enter, but I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to, man. I'm a big dude. They're gonna see some guy walking up a hill and they're used to it, right? They're used to people. And I think they still have scares of people, kids or whoever, adults threaten to shoot up the school. So sometimes they still have evacuations that happen there. It's all pretty
Yeah.
close.
I'm surprised they didn't demolish it.
just the library. I feel the same. I
Oh, they
think it's
do.
weird it's still there. The library is something different or nothing at all, but the backside, the steps are still there. It looks the same as it did the day it happened.
I
We
wouldn't
also
want to.
have Ed Kemper was caught in Pueblo. That's where he turned himself in at a gas station, right? I have a couple of pen pals have written to me and they said I've been through your town and that they were on their way to drop off one of their victims to their father, but they didn't make it. So that's kind of creepy to hear that, small
That is-
towns harbor these things.
Yeah.
Well, so I know you two met because of it was an Ed Gein t-shirt,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Hmm. You want to hear the story?
Yeah, tell us the story.
So I have always been into true crime and real gore and extreme horror, but I was very closeted. I live in an HOA. I'm a mom. I was trying to fit into society, and I saw Jonathan Doe, and he was wearing his Ed Gein shirt, and I was like, we can wear serial killers on our shirts out in public, and it's okay. Uh, and he was like, yeah, you can wear whatever you want. And so we started talking and we had a lot of common interests. And so yeah, Ed Gein brought us together.
That's pretty cool. So what shirts do you wear now?
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, I bought a shirt the other day that says like horror, horror, like horror. I don't know.
horror
I can't
horror.
say it, but horror, horror, which I would have never worn back in the day.
Yeah.
So,
I thought about making one where it says in the front, "Don't cut me off in traffic," and the back is because I talk to serial killers.
that's good.
Yeah. What about you, John? What have you been wearing these days?
I live a double life, so I have a professional career where I have to go to work and be dressed up in a button up, and then my personal life, I wear extremely graphic um t-shirts of either like extreme music or horror movies or serial killers or whatever. And I really try to give like a whole like don't fucking talk to me vibe. So, and then the people that like me, like I don't know, it weeds out the bullshit and it brings in the kind of people that you want to be around. So,
It does. I agree.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
because some people
kind of
might see
like
your Ed Gein shirt and be like, "Oh, that guy is a freak," and me, I was like, "Oh, that's my friend over there. Let me go talk to him."
Yeah.
exactly like I don't want some old lady to come talk to me while I'm at the grocery store, but I do want to like be like I'm a safe space to talk about awful things when I go to a horror convention or a fucking concert or something. So
It's
I
different. It's hard to know when to shut it off because I think all of us have to work a professional job. I made the mistake on when a group of people were talking about true crime and they're talking about a notable case and they asked my opinion on it and I gave them too much information. It's like, yeah, I write them. I could bring in shit if you want to see it. And it got really quiet. And we no
Yeah.
longer talk about true crime at work
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, there's a difference between being into true crime and being into true crime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
I mean,
is.
like the surface level is there's the people that are like, "Oh, have you seen this new mini series that's on Netflix?" And people want to talk about that, but when you're like, they're like, "Oh, have you seen the new Killer Clown Netflix show?" And you're like, "Oh, I have a painting by him." Then all of a sudden the room goes silent and they're like, "Oh, that's a little too far,"
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
funny. So,
Yeah, you're a serial killer too.
exactly.
It takes the fun out of meetings. We'll have, get to know, like they'll say, so say some interesting facts about yourself. I'm like, I don't know. I can't. I'd
I
rather
think
not.
that
I'll
lost me a few
pass.
jobs. It's like, tell me a bit. Oh, I collect true crime. Yep. Don't
No,
want you. Don't say it at a job interview.
no. But the folks like ourselves that we talk to, I guess it's freeing to be able to discuss it and be open about it. I would
Mm.
like to say 99% of us are normal. There's a few out there that are kind of off their rocker.
Well, the funny thing is that people get all weirded out by collectors like us, but when they make something like I think they made it was like the Ted Bundy tapes or the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes, like I know people who personally were involved in the production of that or of those kind of documentaries, because Netflix hit them up and said, I know that you have a big collection of this stuff. So when people are sitting and saying, "Oh, I can't believe they have like they're listening to these tapes and whatever," yeah, that probably came from someone's personal collection, you
Yeah,
know? And so it's people like us who archive these things and we have our own little personal museums that and uh people don't realize that like museums actually finance and will like rent out a lot of things that you see at a museum that come from a private collector. And whether it's murderabilia or World War II things or things like that, like a lot of these items survived because of people like us that collect them.
that's true. And do you think there's a difference on how it's presented? So if it's in a museum setting, people are more accepting of it than just someone
Mhm.
collecting in their home because it has a business name, a space,
Mhm.
and maybe a guy that is dressed up with a nice tie and glasses, looks like someone's grandpa who's, you know,
I think for the layperson, yeah, I think for a person like if it's at a museum, they're like, oh well, this is educational, this is um information. And with me, like I try to turn my place into kind of like a museum. I have everything very like professionally framed and like displayed nicely with even like name tags of what it is and things like that. And so when people hear about me and go, "Oh my God, he's got Jeffrey Dahmer's fork or he's got a painting from this serial killer and stuff," they're freaked out until they come over and then they're like, "Oh, this is actually like really cool." Um, so yeah, I mean, when I was a little kid, I saw Ripley's Believe It or Not, and I was like, that's what I want my house to be. I want my house to be like Ripley's Believe It or Not, just weird, like a cabinet of curiosities thing almost.
yeah, that's pretty cool. What about you, Reagan? Have you been collecting?
No, I'm not a collector. I feel horrible, but I'm a minimalist. But I appreciate Jonathan's collection. He's getting something in the mail soon that I'm really excited about.
Oh, okay.
So as you know, we trade and shit in this hobby, and so I had my hands on some stuff, and some of it was like pretty infamous, like even within our circles or whatever, and I was trying to get rid of this thing. So I traded it and I ended up getting Armin Mives's hacksaw. So that's on its way to me right now. And I already have Armin Mives's fork, which is like super crazy. And then the hacksaw, it's just kind of like a match made in heaven, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure that people are listening to this know who he is, but for anyone who doesn't, Armin Meiwes is the cannibal from Germany who made a post online requesting for a volunteer to sacrifice themselves for him to eat them. And he ended up meeting up with somebody, and they had this consensual agreement, and um, he ended up killing this guy and eating him over 10 months. And so that fork, like the fork that was taken from his home, he was eating this guy for 10 months. And so when you just think about someone's cutlery collection or their fork collection, like um, you cycle through forks. So I like to think that within that 10-month period, this fork I have might have been used to eat this person. And then I don't know if he used a hacksaw. He had to use something to cut that person up. So it's maybe the hacksaw was also used in the murder.
Wouldn't be surprised, right?
Yeah. And so to have to actually have like it's one thing to have like a painting or a letter, which is cool, but to actually have like artifacts that are like potentially part of the crime is like pretty pretty gnarly to have.
It's pretty rare and it's going to have a certain feel to it, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of people talk about that are like superstitious. We'll talk about um whether you feel bad juju in the house or if you feel like it's haunted, like I mean, I don't know how much of that stuff I believe in or not. But if any place is haunted, I mean, I would say Jeff, my place and your place are pretty fucking haunted based off of the shit that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, I got some interesting things. And I do have a spoon for you from Haddon Clark.
Oh,
Or
really?
it's a fork. Yeah, I asked him for
At least
I
it's not the socks.
no, I have socks from Clark and I have
Well,
two
thanks,
spoons.
Jeff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I collect cannibal cutlery,
there you
and
go.
so I wrote Jeff, and I was like, because I know that he talks to Hayden Clark, and I was like, hey, is there any way that you could get me a fork? So thanks, dude. I'll
Yeah.
figure out something to
Oh yeah.
get you back. So
And I don't know about this one, but one of them he said it was weird. He said he took a bath with it. And I'm like, oh, really? That's kind of cool. I'm, I don't obviously
Used
don't.
to comb his pubes.
It could
Like the
be.
well,
Little Mermaid.
so
I'm
Hayden
okay with
Clark
that.
is the cross-dressing cannibal, and
Yeah.
he ate part of a little girl. And to get away with his crime, he dressed up as one of the women that he murdered and walked out of the house dressed up. And you can speak to it more than me, Jeff, but he's pretty Looney Tunes. I think he's pretty has schizophrenia or something like that, and so he
He's
does lots of very strange things. So I wouldn't be surprised if he took a
yeah.
bath.
I probably have to watch what I say because he has a lot of pen pals that may listen, may not, and I don't want word to get back to him. Yeah, he talked. He works out quite a bit. In his letters, he gives recipes. He'll draw them sometimes. Uh, at the very beginning, he'll tell you what he wants, and some people will have to fill out a contract if you want to talk about his crimes, which I don't. I really don't want to talk about anyone's crimes. I really just shoot the shit and get a letter from them, right? And keep up
Hmm.
the friendship. Some I will keep up a friendship with, which might be odd to say, having a friendship. Who's it with the serial killer? Uh, he had one of his letters. He wants pictures. He wants celebrities. He wants autographs, which I'll find for him. The last one was Kevin Bacon, which no big deal. And that's what we do a trade. I get artwork for it. There's the actress from Young Sheldon, one of the sisters,
Okay.
and she's I don't think she's yet 18. And I told him I will not send you photos of someone under 18. I will not do it. And he goes, well, I have lots of pen pals that will. Go find somebody else. I'm like, I'll send you other shit. I'm just not sending you those. So that's one of my favorite
Yeah.
letters is when he told me off. I love that letter. But we're friends now. We're cool. And he sends me socks that might have had pubes on it. I don't
I
know.
got something similar. It's just like I'm not wasting a stamp on you.
Yeah.
If
Yeah. He
I
said that
wasn't
too.
sending him those pictures, he wasn't wasting a stamp on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean, you have to set boundaries with a lot of these people when they ask for different things, and sometimes the relationships feel very like transactional, which I don't mind. They want something, I want something.
Yeah.
But if it just feels like, if you're giving a lot and they're not really giving you anything back, then it's kind of like, what's the point? Like, um, so I've had certain inmates that I've talked to, and they asked me to buy them a book or they asked me to buy them something, and I did, and then once they got what they wanted, they stopped writing me, and I mean, it's not like I'm not hugely surprised. It's not like we're writing people who are considered good people, so I'm sure a lot of them
Yeah.
uh, do that. But I've also built some pretty good relationships with, there's the inmates that you meet that are still on a bad path and are proud of what they've done and things like that. And then there's people who are remorseful, and those tend to be the people at this point in my life that I tend to like. If I'm actually going to have a relationship with you, then I'd be more like that, because I've just been burned too many times from the people who like are still like malicious and proud of what they've done and things like that.
That's true. And with the four of us here, so we all four of us have something very much in common. And it's one person who he does let me talk about him as long as it's not about his crimes. That's Robert Bardo. I told him we're going to start a fan club. It's going to be called the Friends of Bardo. I'm going to make membership cards for everybody and a T-shirt. Because when you write to him, he'll have you reach out to other people, right? Because I want you to reach out to
Yep.
so and so, and I've created friendships from that. He knows a
So
lot
have
of good
I.
people, right?
We
Yep.
met through Robert Bardo. You and me, Jeff.
Yeah, we did. That's when I bought one of the most disturbing films I've seen in a long time, and I used to watch a lot of crazy shit. The White Gardenia, the self harm. I don't think I
Yeah.
finished it yet,
Have you
which
seen Majestic Flesh Faucet yet?
not yet. I need to see it. I need to. And I used to be a big fan of what was his name? I wrote it down. The Valentine dude from the
Lucifer
regurgitated.
Valentine.
Yeah, I loved his series. and I used to be able to watch that like nothing. And it's different now. I'm not the vomit stuff. I'm okay with. That's all right. You know, having kids especially, I've been thrown up on so many times. It's not even thing different. You know.
Yep.
So no, I will watch that. Uh, I guess with the White Gardenia, do you still talk with them at all?
We're cool. Like
Yeah.
me and Daniel are cool. I think Cherokee and Allison are a lot more private.
Okay.
But Daniel will hit me up with we'll probably do more projects in the future and things like that. And he's also kind of a busy guy and kind of like elusive in a way.
Yeah.
So um he'll call me, and as long like his phone number changes a bunch, and so I'll see a phone number from Montana, and I'm like, oh, that must be Daniel,
Yeah.
and we'll chat and stuff. But we're cool, and yeah, Bardo is exactly the type of like person that I would maintain a relationship with because he has put in the work and is working on like changing his life and being a good person and has remorse for
Yeah.
what he's done and things like that. And so,
100%.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, he's a person that because the thing is like people make mistakes and people do horrible things, and to me, like I do believe in rehabilitation and like it's that's what I mean. That's the thing that fucks me up the most about prisons is they're called correctional facilities, and but there's not a lot of correcting going on. It's mostly just punishment based and things like that. So to see someone who's actively trying to do better, like I feel like we should encourage that and support that. And the people who uh, are still running amok and causing problems, like, okay, well, this is how you're choosing to live, and that yeah, I just think we should encourage good behavior and people who are remorseful.
Especially at his age. He was 19 when he did it,
Mm,
and he obviously had some issues going on, stalking issues, and he had somewhat of a rough childhood. He and I
Mhm.
also bonded because we're both from Tucson and we lived in around the same time period, so we know the same places. And he would send me, he would ask me, look at this address. This is my childhood home. And he wants to see what it looks like today. So it was kind of cool to be able to talk to him about things like that.
And
When
that's
he
the
was,
cool thing is one thing I think that happens in like the murderabilia world is like there's a lot of like gatekeeping and a lot of like not sharing information and stuff um and it's cool that Bardo is so open to like having us all know each other, get to know each other and all this kind of stuff and because I think sometimes people will talk to an inmate or vice versa and go, "Oh, don't talk to that person." Um and it's cool that we have the Friends of Bardo thing going and we're all friends with this person,
yeah.
and we all kind of like support him.
Are you able to talk about a visitation that occurred recently, or is that off the
Oh
table?
no, that's fine. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
talk about
Let's talk about that experience of checking
so
in, all that.
yeah, so um Reagan and I went and visited Bardo with I don't know if he wants us to mention it, so I'm not going to say it, but with another person. And it was really cool. I had visited another inmate before. I'd visited Amanda Taylor at a female prison, and it was really interesting seeing like the juxtaposition between the two, and that prisons are different based off of like states and based off of whether based on the gender and things like that. And it was really interesting, like going in and doing seeing Bardo. But I want to hear Reagan because that was your first time actually visiting an inmate.
Yeah. I actually, before talking to Bardo, I had no desire to really talk to serial killers or anything. I was very into true crime, like to learn about it, but the thought of talking to them, I never thought about it. Um, so when it came time to like actually go into a prison, it was a little scary for me. It felt like I was being processed like for the real thing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what that feels like, but it just felt like it to me. And I don't know, like when we were driving past we were past the gates and we were driving in this little, I don't know, shuttle, you could just like see the guys in the yard like working out like right there. And I was like, oh, this feels different. Like every time you see a prison, it's like you can't see the people at all. Like it's very far removed,
Yeah.
but to be in the thick of it. And then we got into the visitation room, and I'm like, these people are gonna be in the same room as me. I feel horrible, but like I was ignorant, you know, I didn't have a frame of reference for what this would feel like, or but it did make me a little bit nervous, like realizing that, because I have a bad habit of kind of not anticipating how I'm gonna feel if it's a weird situation. So like when I was filming for Majestic Flesh Faucet and I had to like do all of this gross stuff, I didn't think about it before I did it. And then when I was doing it, I was like, oh, this is awful. Why didn't I think that this was gonna be great? um, but yeah, the visitation, I jokingly and affectionately call it the petting zoo for inmates because you go and you hug them and you feed them a lot. And
You could
the
pet them.
food there
No?
is expensive.
Yeah.
That made me mad.
Well, they had like burritos. How much were they?
Well, we bought a slice of cake and I think it was like $11. Well, that's the thing that really got me when talking to Bardo is I knew that prisoners made slave wages, you know, like they didn't make hardly anything. But I always assumed that the commissary or the things that they have to buy in the prison must be very affordable. And he said that he lost his toothpaste and he said that it would cost $8 to replace it. And I started crying. I was so upset. I was like, you're kidding me that things are more expensive in prison when you're getting paid $1 an hour. Um, so
Yeah, so that's kind of the reason why we want to like we brought a bunch of money um specifically to just like spoil Bardo. So there's like the vending machines and there was like candy and sodas and things like that, but then there was like fancy vending machines that had like really nice food in there and stuff and we just were like what do you want, dude? Because I know that this is like it may not be. He even said that some of the stuff that was at the vending machine isn't accessible in his living situation. And so it was like, oh, well, do you want to buy a candy bar? Do you want to buy whatever? And also with how much he gets paid, like even if it was available, it's not like it wouldn't be practical to spend your money on that thing because
Right.
you have to buy the things that you need. So, yeah, he really, it felt, it did. It's funny to hear it be referred to as a petting zoo, but I mean, it's kind of like, we were trying to give him a good experience because I don't know how many people go and visit him. I don't think many.
I don't think
So,
so. And it's concert venue prices. So it's almost like he's an entertainer, right? And you have to go pay for a $12 beer.
mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
$20
Yeah.
burrito.
But
What
it
did you
was
think
cool.
about
It was the other thing that was like a shock to me was it was air conditioned in there. It was like nice. And he said like when he is going to go back to his living quarters, it's not air conditioned. And he lives in like a desert. Like it's literally we basically had to drive through the desert and there's just this prison in the middle of nowhere. And they do that on purpose. Like every prison I've ever visited, like it's out in the middle of nowhere so that if you manage to get out of the gate, they're going to notice a person dressed up like an inmate running around. You're going to get picked up or you're going to die.
Yeah. Like
So,
not proper ventilation. I remember in the wintertime they complained about how cold it was. You had to wear double up on the clothes and you can't have extra blankets or it's contraband, right? If you have something extra you're not supposed to have.
mhm.
And it said the heat wasn't turned on and they're still looking into it, but I don't know how quickly they are to take care of those kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, and the crazy thing is like, okay, yeah, there's people in there that are murderers and stuff. And so I can see a person outside being like, well, they deserve that treatment. But there's also people in there that are in trouble for like tax fraud or fucking marijuana and stupid things that I don't think any of it justifies that treatment. They're still human beings at the end of the day. But there's people
Yes.
in there that haven't committed the kinds of crimes that people like think about. When people think about prison, they think about murderers and gang members and whatever. And there could be a person in there that's just like made a mistake or is in trouble for some bullshit that's not even illegal anymore back in the
Right.
80s, you know?
But as you said, who is it to us to be inhumane to somebody, even if they're a pretty despicable person? Like I understand how a victim would feel, like a family. They might wish this person dead, not have any empathy for him. I understand that, but then that's why people in the prison system are not connected to him, and they should just be a human, just take care of him regardless, right? Otherwise,
Yeah.
why keep him alive to life, just to torture him? That doesn't seems just as bad as almost what they have done. So
Yeah.
It feels worse to me actually. Like the worst true crime cases for me are the ones that involve torture. And that's what being in prison for that long is just prolonged torture. And for me, it's like, okay, if you murdered someone, say you shot someone, their pain ended right then. And it's done. They're not in pain anymore. But you go to prison for 30 years, you're going to be in pain and suffering for a long, long, long time, especially doing, crimes when you're young.
yeah,
It's just not right, I don't think.
it's a mental
To
breakdown. You're
make you
not,
suffer. Yeah.
yeah, you're
They
not going
don't
to be
want
the
you to
same.
rehabilitate. Sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd rather be murdered. So if I was gonna switch places with Bardo, I'm like, I'd rather be dead. Sorry.
Unless, yeah, for him is he has some hope, right? The California
Yeah.
laws are changing a bit, so he's hanging on to that hope. These certain laws pass or don't pass. A lot of lifers at his age might have a chance to have some parole. So yeah, he's hanging on to it.
Mm.
You
The
have
trip
to.
because he committed his crime the same year I was born. So the whole time I was alive, he was in prison. And that's a crazy thing to think about.
It is
You know,
crazy. Yeah,
and he was only 19 when he did it, so this is what normal is to him, you
yeah.
know?
And
I
one of
remember
his
him saying that he couldn't put anything on the walls. And that to me was like, so you're staring at concrete all day, every single day for 30 years. That would drive anybody insane.
And that's the thing I thought was interesting is like at the women's prison that Amanda Taylor's at, they are able to decorate and stuff. Like they celebrate the holidays and they'll decorate they'll put like they had a contest of who made the best Christmas tree and put it on their door and stuff like that. And it feels almost like Orange is the New Black, kind of like fucking summer camp shit because they're constantly like doing fun whatever, and then you hear
yeah,
about Bardo and it's like he's not allowed to have anything. And I even asked him, I was like, well, when people mail you pictures and stuff, what do you do? Do you put them on your wall? He's like, I'm not allowed to do that. It's like everything he has is like, I guess, in a box or something.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
So,
there's a drawer under his bed.
Yeah, something
Like
like
they
that.
share drawers or something. And once it's full, it has to be boxed up and stored.
or send to his
Yeah.
friends at Bardo. We get little knickknacks from him sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some random things in the mail and I was like, what
Yeah,
is this?
Yeah, I got some random stuff. It's like,
yeah.
hey.
Lots of slips, so like a permission slip to
Yeah, I
leave
got like
and
a prescription or something.
descriptions. Yeah, and he does
I'm,
send birthday cards.
Yeah, I got a Mother's Day
Yep.
card. That was sweet.
so what's it like writing to American inmates with you being in Australia? Is it tricky to do or is it pretty easy?
It's expensive because
Mhm.
it cost me like $3.50 per stamp.
Oh God.
But I like writing because it is so different. The American prison system is, compared to Australia's, is just insane.
What's
And I
the
mean, the
difference?
sentencing, well, Australian prisons don't have tablets, so they don't have the access to talk to family members as easy as American prisoners do. Um, and I think overall, Australian prisons are just easier. I mean, we even have a prison that's once you've earned the right and you've done well, you can move to, like in Western Australia anyway, there's like a farm prison and you get so much more freedom. And you could technically just walk out. It's that
Wow.
just free and easy. But obviously if you get caught, which if you have walked off, got caught, then they go back to maximum security. But it's generally at the last of their sentencing. It's just like, let's make it easier for you. and they get their skills up, farming, cooking, just so different to America. I mean, our life sentence is probably, I think, 20, 25 for one murder and like 30 for two. We don't have life sentences unless they go back to court for real serious crimes like um pedophilia. If you've gone to prison, you've got out and you've reoffended and then you go back in again, they'll generally try to keep you in forever then. But yeah, we've got murderers here that, 20 years and they're out. They're
Who's the
not.
woman who killed her husband and then tried to cook him and feed him to their children, and she got arrested before?
Oh, Catherine Knight.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
she, what's her sentencing over there?
Um, I don't actually know. I don't think I actually don't really know. 'Cause I don't really follow the Australian crime much. I see what's on the news, but I don't follow it because because I want to work in the industry, I don't contact them and I don't get too involved in case I end up working in the same prison they're in.
Oh,
Um, I can't remember. I think she might be dead, isn't she?
I don't know. I just I saw a couple of her paintings circulating online for a lot of money. But I don't know if that value is based off of her case or just, getting something in the US from Australia is difficult. But I was curious. So what do you do for, are you a correctional officer or what do you do
I
working in prisons?
I'm unemployed at the moment. I'm studying my Master of Forensic Mental Health.
Oh,
Um, but I want to work in the criminal justice system. I want to work in rehabilitation and parole, probation, and write my books because I believe in rehabilitation. There's very few cases that can't be rehabilitated, but you do get the cases that just you can't work with them because generally there's mental conditions, mental illness that has affected them, and they just don't realize what they're doing is wrong. Um, but yeah,
And
so
those
yeah,
people definitely need humane treatment, if they
yeah, you
are
treat
that
someone like an
mentally.
animal, they're going to be an animal.
Yeah.
They're not going to
Yes.
get any better,
What
you
is the
know?
incentive when you have life without the possibility of parole? Like, what is the incentive to do better? There
yeah.
isn't.
I
There
would,
isn't.
well, I
No.
guess I'm a monster. Fuck
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
Might as well
I
make
think
some
that's why
10,000, get some commissary then. Sell some stuff.
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's why Bardo has a hard time because I keep telling him because he's always apologetic and he's so remorseful for what he's done. And I'm like, you were young, it was a mistake. People fuck up. Don't be so hard on yourself. He just can't forgive himself.
Yeah.
He just won't forgive himself. It's just like, you can move on, it's yeah, you
No,
fucked up once,
he
it's
has distanced himself. He won't drop pictures of her anymore. He won't do
yeah,
any serial killer true crime drawings at all. He doesn't even like to
yeah,
talk about it.
yeah.
I wouldn't even ask. I don't know how you could even ask that of him, honestly.
People
Um,
do. They still
and
do.
I have such a connection to Robert, especially because when I was a teenager, our hormones and depression and it's high school is hard. I had serious homicidal ideations. Actually, when Columbine happened, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like, let me think about that for myself. So I'm like, if I had just acted on one of those impulses, I would have been in the same position.
Yeah.
And it takes a split second to do the thing that's going to put you away for life. And it's not that difficult to believe that any one of us could have done something like that in our lives.
Yeah. It anyone can enter that situation pretty easily.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah.
Moving on from Bardo, so you both took a pretty big pilgrimage to different true crime sites. That's got to be a pretty cool story.
Yeah, so I moved from San Diego to the Pacific Northwest, and Reagan came with me on the move, and we decided to turn it into kind of a road trip, a dark tourism trip. And so um, we ended up visiting like a lot of really cool sites. Went to Santa Cruz and visited a lot of sites connected with Ed Kemper. We went to his house slash his mom's house where he cut off his mom's head and cut off a lot of other people's heads. Um, we went to the bar where he would hang out and talk to the police and be like, "Hey, do you guys have any tips on the co-ed killer? What's going on?" And Reagan, why don't you tell us what like the bar experience because that was cool.
Well, we went into the bar and none of us were drinking, so we got Shirley Temples, and we just assumed we're like, oh, Edmund Kemper, yeah, he just got Shirley Temples here. But yeah, the bartender was really cool, and she was knowledgeable about, the whole thing. But she was fine with us being there and asking questions, and I think she gets it a lot. Um,
Sure.
but they had like some T-shirts that said the jury room and some keychains, and I bought out the entire collection. I was like,
Did you?
they were like $2 each or something. Like,
I had a
let me
friend
get
send
those.
me the keychain, but it got lost in the mail. The bottom of the letter was cut open and it fell
Yeah,
out,
and
I guess.
I do have a
Yeah.
pin that says the jury room on
Yeah.
it, but I
Is
won't
it?
sell
No. Is
it.
this also when you saw Dorothy Puente's house, or is that a different time, different trip?
Yeah, we went there. That was crazy. The house is all decorated and covered in signs that say like, no trespassing or we'll bury you in the yard. And there's like a mannequin of her like on the stoop. Um,
That's great.
that was fun. That was the most inviting place that we visited the entire trip. In fact, like the only spot that made it. Well, I will say the jury room was similar, but yeah, a lot of like hostile looks and uneasiness
Yeah.
and
I was gonna say, were you chased out? Any
n-
ill words towards you on these
no, just a
sites?
lot of people staring and being on their phones. And when we noticed that, we kind of bounced. So we were kind of
Yeah.
just hyper vigilant of what was going on around us, and we didn't. um I think there was one place that we were at. We were at the church where the vampire of Sacramento like dumped that kid's body. And I think someone told Jonathan, hey, you can't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the church was closed and the parking lot was pretty much vacant except for my U-Haul. So I'm like walking around with a camera trying to find the spot where um, Richard Chase dumped this kid, and it probably looked like I was just fucking snooping around or whatever. And so this guy came to me and he asked me what I was doing, and I said, "Oh, I was recording something for YouTube," or I don't remember what I said, but he told me to leave. I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay." And
Yeah.
then we hung out in front of Kemper's place, and the neighbors were not hyped that we were there, and they like came out with their phones and were recording us and stuff, which was like, what are you gonna do? Like we're standing on a public street, like in front of the house, like we're taking pictures, and I shot a little video of it and stuff. But I mean, I would be pretty fucking used to that if I chose to live across the street from one of like America's most infamous murderers.
You gotta be used to it by now. I mean, this is bad as the Nightmare on Elm Street house is the new owner is pretty bad about chasing people off. And that's just a movie and people just paying respects to it. So
That's the thing is
yeah.
like that's the thing I don't get is you're gonna go buy the Elm Street house and I'm sure the person that sold it to you told you,
Yeah.
to me like why are you gonna act shocked about I would have I don't know, I would capitalize on that. I would have like turned it into an Airbnb or
100%.
whatever,
A fan
you
needs to
know.
buy it. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
My dream is if I ever have like fuck you money, I would totally buy like a murder house and turn it into like a museum of death kind of thing or something, or like have it like play up that it's haunted or whatever, and let people stay there and pay extra for you to stay in the like murder room and things like that or whatever. Um, but that'd be
yeah.
cool.
And for your grand opening, what band are you gonna have come play? Because you know you have to have some really cool black metal band out there waking up the
Oh
neighbors.
yeah. Well, I think Macabre would be the best
I was
since
gonna,
they
I
all
bet you're
talk
gonna
about
say
serial
Macabre.
killers, but Mortician would be sick.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Yeah. So
They're good choices. They could both show up. They'll be on the bill. I'll
yeah,
come out, man. I'll party with it. That'd be fun.
hell yeah.
Because that's yeah. I don't get it. People do get nervous about it, and I understand the nervousness, but maybe we like it too much. Uh, Growing up
Yeah,
watching horror
maybe.
movies, you know.
Yeah, to me, like I do a lot of this dark tourism stuff, and it's uncomfortable. Sometimes, like some places, it feels weird, like going up to it. But I rarely like chicken out unless I feel like people are being really, it's like really unwelcoming, or I feel like it's not dangerous or whatever. But like we went to San Francisco and we checked out like um where the Zodiac killer murdered his last victim, and literally there was like a brick, and I took a brick from the spot just as like a memento. Um, yeah, I mean, the worst thing people do is they tell you to leave and you just go, okay. And
Yeah,
you just so we did
respectfully.
uh what's his name? Joseph D'Angelo, the the original Night Stalker, the the Golden State Killer. We went to the house that he was at, but the vibe just was it was a really like small neighborhood, and we're in this big truck, and I did, and the people were home, and I just didn't feel like I could figure out a discreet way to like go grab some grass or grab some dirt or something, or
Yeah,
even walk up to it. So we just did a drive by with that one,
that's
but
crazy.
we checked out some really cool stuff. It was a really
Sorry, that's Cujo. She's trying out for Stephen King's new adaptation of it, so she's practicing in the living room.
oh yeah. But Reagan, I'm curious to hear from you. Like that was kind of like your first time doing any like dark tourism. How did you feel about it?
I loved it. I thought it was so interesting, so fascinating to actually be there. Um, it just it's one thing to learn about it. It's another thing to actually step in the footsteps of where the people were. I don't want to get I won't go too deep into it, but there was one person that we actually like followed the path that they were on, and it was just, I don't know, it was really moving, and just to know that that's what they were seeing and that's what they were smelling and feeling like right before they did what they did. um I don't know, it just makes it really real. And I would say the scariest part of the trip for I think both of us was the kitty cabin murders, or is it Ketty cabin
Keddy
murders?
Cabin Murders, yeah.
Oh
So
my
the Keddy
gosh.
Cabin Murders are the inspiration for The Strangers, the movie The Strangers,
Yeah,
and it's this like really it's a unsolved murder that happened where this family was brutally like killed with hammers and knives and stuff. And we went pretty out of our fucking way to get to Keddie, California, on our way. And it's like the middle of fucking nowhere for real. Like it's
yeah.
like small town, whatever. And so we get into where the house was that the murder happened. The house is not there anymore. And there's like it's just this little like almost like cul-de-sac, but it's not like a neighborhood and there's a cul-de-sac. It's just like you're driving in the woods and you just turn right and there's like a bridge, you cross the bridge and then there's just this little circle of like maybe four houses, and there was just like a lady there that was like burning debris, and it felt very like almost like a deliverance kind of shit. Like we drove up there like, what are
Yeah.
you doing? What are you doing here, city boy? Kind of shit. Like, what do
Just got
you,
amped up.
like? Because the thing is like there's no excuse that I can think of why we're here. Like it's
Wrong
not like we're
turn.
passing through or whatever.
Yeah,
And so it was just really tense. Like it was just like, and and the thing is we get out, we're recording, and like if anyone asks what are you doing, like they fucking know. They know why we're standing on this empty spot where this family got murdered.
yeah,
And I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't like the woman that was burning the debris like wasn't related to the family or related to something, because this is just a small little middle of nowhere town. Like to me, like this is something where like generations and generations have just lived on this spot, you know? So I kind of if I felt uncomfortable in a lot of ways, but I also like didn't want to offend this person. Like you guys are coming and
Yeah.
gawking at my fucking the house where my relatives were killed at, you know? So
Well,
it was definitely tense.
I
Yeah, the
think
vibes were really off too, because like the homes were dilapidated, like broken windows, boarded up. Like it was not like a cute little neighborhood. It was like out of a horror movie. And there was some houses like that were demolished, and um we happened to on accident go to the site on the anniversary of the murder.
oh,
So
okay.
that also was like, oh, we didn't even realize it until the day of. We're like,
That's
oh crap.
badass. But you guys have like the greatest, not alibi or story. You have a U-Haul behind you. You're just saying I got lost. My GPS took me off a beaten path. Or you can just
Yeah,
take a
I
chance.
mean, that's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're trying to get over here. Can you tell us how to get here or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember the town. Like, it was like literally like it was in on this. It was in the mountains, and it the only place in the mountains was this little town, and it wasn't Ketty. Like Ketty, California is that little cul-de-sac. It seems like it's just that little spot, and then there's an actual town, and I can't remember the name of it. So that's like the main town. So yeah, we could have been like, oh, we're trying to find whatever the fuck it was. But yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It felt like if we, everybody. It was one of those everybody knows everybody kind of places. So
And driving in was terrifying because we it was the middle of the night, and it was windy mountain roads, and we're in a U-Haul, and there's no cell phone signal, no cars on the road for hours other than ours, and no gas stations, and we thought we were going to run out of gas.
Wait,
It was
so
terrifying.
it's the middle of the night and someone's out there burning in their trash can?
Oh, well,
that
when we
was
got into
Fire.
amazing.
town,
Oh, okay.
we went the next day.
Okay, okay. I'm that I got
Yeah,
some bodies in there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. I
the
don't know.
last people that got lost.
There's that scenario, which to me it sounds like a nice abandoned town in Colorado. So I'd know how to talk with those people. So next time I'll come along and I'll discuss with them. My nervousness is, so I go to Chris Watts' house quite a bit because it's 15 minutes from where I work, which is
Mhm.
about an hour from where I live. So when I go into the office, which is not often, I say, I'm going to fucking Chris Watts' house. I want to see if someone's living there. It's a nice suburban neighborhood, and there's not much place you can park because there's always some guy out there. It's the same guy doing his lawn that's across the street. Because when he pulled down the street, the Chris Watts house is fucking ginormous. The pictures I take don't do it justice. It sticks out like as much as like the Amityville horror house would, right? And they repainted it. So I parked there, and I'm trying to take pictures of it. And there's a family that lives there, and I don't know if it's the same family that bought it. Have you heard about what happened with that recent family who bought the house?
No, I haven't heard about that.
It was a husband and wife, and I think they had three kids, which is kind of like the Chris Watts situation. And then
Hmm.
the police were called for another domestic dispute issue. And they were having, it was like a Super Bowl party, and the wife was on a couch upstairs with her friend, and the husband's watching them on the camera. And he thought that the friend was getting kind of fresh with his wife, a female friend, and she looked at the camera apparently. So he went in there and confronted that they're having some type of relationship, and he knocked the drink out of the wife's hand, and they called the police, and the police on the camera goes, is this the Chris Watts house? Like, what the fuck is going on with this house? And I don't know. He was arrested for it, and there was going to be a court case. And when I went there about a month ago, there's three cars parked out front. So I don't know if it's sold again. It's the same family, but it's got it feels weird there. And I remember when I was there, um, my radio was turned off, but through my speakers, I heard it sound like a kid's voice say hello. It was weird that I'd hear some kind of like voice coming out of it. And I've taken
Uh,
photos, and what's that pareidolia? What's that term where you see things like faces and images? Our minds
oh
make out a
yeah.
face. Yeah. And there's some pictures that look like Chris's face. It's kind of weird, right? I don't know if you
Yeah.
believe in paranormal stuff, but it's odd.
Oh, I mean, I I have a couple times doing dark tourism like felt really bad energy, and that happened when we were at the Keddy Cabin place. and the other time that it happened was when I was at John Wayne Gacy's property. That neighborhood felt fucking gross, felt bad, and
Yeah.
then Ketty Cabin felt bad. Um, and I don't definitively believe in anything, but I'm open to the idea, you know? And so, I
Personal
mean, if
experience, really.
yeah, so
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, well, I mean, think if you think about uh Ketty Cabin, like that was a place where a whole family was brutally murdered, and they weren't they weren't able to make closure
Yeah.
there. And then same with John Wayne Gacy, like there was 33 kids fucking killed in that place, if not more, you
You
know?
know, is yeah, it was demolished like in 79, right? Even with the foundation, I would say you'd have to dig deep and get that dirt out of there. I don't know how much did they just fill it in? What did they do with it? I'm sure it's still
They built a house on top of it, but
right.
I mean, I'm sure that soil, there were
Yeah.
bodies in that soil, you know?
Yeah.
So
There's still human remains from the whatever, right? Whatever
yeah.
remains from the body is in there. You can't,
So
yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there's certain things that I own that like I don't feel any negativity towards, but there are certain things that I have a little like saw blade that was taken from Robert Berdella's house, and it has a evidence bag in it. So it was taken from the evidence by the police, and I've had that thing framed, and it has fallen down over and over and over. Like that frame has fallen down, and same with an Issey Sagwa book I had um that I traded recently.
Yeah.
That also would fall down all the time when I had it displayed.
Yeah. I got
So,
some of that tape right there, the crime scene tapes on my book there.
oh hell yeah.
I saw it. I was I apologize. I stalk you quite a bit. I watch your videos a lot. And I was watching the one today. It was a Christmas one where you did an unboxing and he had the cool stuff in the that
Oh,
website.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's I've been talking to that dude and he's mentioning that the witchcraft record that the guy would play.
oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. And I agree. He reminds me a lot of Jeffrey Dahmer, who I think was almost kind of somewhat almost blamed for his crimes during the trial, right? It was brought up because it was around the same time period.
Yeah, I mean they're both gay men that were abducting people, and I think Berdella was much more cruel. Like Dahmer just wanted to have a sex slave, and
Yeah.
Bordella was getting off to torturing people. You know, if I could choose not to get killed by anybody, Bordella would be it. Because he's like gonna electrocute your testicles for a week until you fucking just have a heart attack.
Just something popped. Okay,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. And tell me you guys recorded your tour and you're going to have eventual documentary release on it.
Well, Reagan, I'm curious your thoughts on the energy thing, and then you can talk about the documentary idea.
On the energy,
Yeah, like we were talking about supernatural things. How do you feel about that?
I don't believe in anything supernatural. I think that everything can be explained through science, and if we can't do it yet, we will someday. I think that, ghosts or visions are more likely to be maybe we're seeing into a parallel universe, or I don't know, some trick of the mind. But yeah, I don't really believe in ghosts or anything. I was going to say, so there was really dark vibes at Ketty Cabin and a couple other places. The vibes were immaculate at the Zodiac Killers. Was it the first site or the last site? I think it's the last site in San Francisco.
Yeah, that was the last site.
It was beautiful. It was like right outside of Presidio Park. There was trees in bloom, and I don't know, it just was like we followed the path that he took, most likely when he killed, I think it was, his name was Paul Stein, in the taxi, and then he left and he walked away. But we walked that path and it was gorgeous. And I was just like, oh, this is a
Oh,
really nice spot.
Yeah,
nature
that
took
murder
over.
was witnessed by some teenagers, and that was the murder that they were able to make that sketch, the infamous Zodiac killer sketch. So not that the other murders weren't like significant, but that one was significant in that it was his last murder, and it was witnessed by people, and it caused the sketch, and the police believe they actually stopped him and talked to him, and he was able to talk himself out of it and walked into the woods. So,
Yeah, we walk that path and it's like you go into some trees and there's some stairs, but they lead to like this big drop off. There's like no way down it, but it's not so far that like you would you couldn't jump down there. So it's like he probably jumped down there and then snuck off into the woods. It was like perfect, like he planned that. Probably did.
Yeah. You could mentally see that. You could play out the scene in your mind, right? A
mhm.
replay. That's cool. What about you, Sharon? What's your thoughts on paranormal and
Well, I haven't experienced it really, but uh yeah, I think a lot of people have told me that they've seen grandma sitting at the end of the bed and all that sort of stuff. And I just sort of I don't deny it, but I don't like 100% go, yep, it was grandma at the end of the bed. It's
yeah,
probably, yeah, like they were probably tired and just dreaming of grandma and then woke up and then like thought they saw grandma.
right.
I've got no positive proof of its existence, but it's not to say it's not there.
I think it's all in the mind, especially because I have night terrors. So I'll wake up in the middle of the night and see things that are not there. So I'm like, I know my mind can put things into
Mm,
the space around me that look so real.
Yeah,
So I'm like, if I can do that in the middle of the night, it could happen to anybody at any time, I'm sure.
yeah.
sure can. And then your thoughts on a possible documentary of your tour.
Well, Jonathan.
Well, we shot our entire trip. And I shot it in two different ways. So I shot footage of the whole thing, but I also shot uh I did intros for every place that we went to. So it has the potential of being episodes for Murderabilia Show and Tell. Like each location we went to would be its own video,
Yeah,
or it has the potential to be a whole documentary. And I kind of like the idea of because Regan is getting into making documentaries and stuff. And I kind of want her to take the lead on some things. So I kind of like the idea of maybe like doing episodes for cinema for Murderabilia Show and Tell, but then Reagan can edit and direct the whole documentary.
That sounds good to me.
yeah. I'd love to see it. I'll help you guys do more of a. You need to come down to Colorado and do one here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want to go to Colorado. You guys are having Crime Con coming up, and there's going to be two officers that were involved in the James Holmes murder,
Yep.
the spree killing. And I don't know when that is, but that I was like, that would be cool, you know. And then it gives an excuse we could all hang out and then go see Columbine, go see the Aurora Theater, and go see Chris Watts and
John
anything.
Benet's house too, which is hard to find. I know where to find it, which I felt like a creeper. And the front of it doesn't face the front of the street. It's kind of between two streets. One's more like a back alley, and it's faced sideways, and it's full of trees. And I only know it was the right house because of there was an interview with the current owner a couple of years ago, and you could tell the gate, the opening, and the trees. Was out front. But that whole town of Boulder that town's crazy. People make fun of it, like the people are granola and hippies there, but that town is dark. And there's been a lot of, even recently, there was a college girl that was found on the side of the mountain, deceased. So they got some weird shit there.
Yeah, I don't know what's in the water,
Yeah,
but
the water tastes good though. It's the best water I've ever had. And I don't feel like I've gone crazy. I like it better than Arizona. Arizona is mostly just cowboys and the ghost of people from the West. There's the Pied Piper of Tucson though. Tucson's only real known serial killer. But yeah,
you got Jodi Arias in
well, yeah,
Arizona.
that's true. She doesn't
Yeah.
write back, unfortunately.
I got one letter back from her when I offered to purchase something from her, and she
Of
wrote back
course.
to me. So if you got money on the table, she may write back to you. But
Or
then
pretend
I
that you
tried,
do.
what?
Or at least pretend you have money on the table, you know?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So um, I'm trying real hard to get myself a Jodi Arias painting, but and they have JodiAriasArt.com or whatever, which is her stuff, but it's all prints, and I want like an original thing.
Yeah. She might have one or two there, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if it came from her somehow, or I'm
hmm
sure it's her representative, not just the website. Her art's pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, I would say out of all the serial killer art that I have that's actually like good, I would say Keith Jesperson's the best in terms of artists. Like in terms of it being artistic, but the
Yeah.
rest it's more just cool because of where it came from.
I like Kevorkian's paintings that you have.
Kevorkian's really good. I really like Kevorkian's art, and I get why people kind of lump it into murderabilia. I mean, I have a signed lithograph and stuff, but he's like kind of in a different category.
He
Yeah.
is. It was like, still documented and treated the same way as like other murderers. But I definitely agree with you.
Yeah. It's hard to even call it true crime. It's more of an oddity, if anything.
Yeah. I mean, what he did was illegal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it
Um,
was a crime in someone's eyes.
no, and it's funny, I went to Zach Bagans Museum in Las Vegas. Have you guys been to that?
No, I'd want to.
I got really mad because they have Kevorkian's van,
Yeah.
and he's my, I mean, again, true crime, but like I love him. I just think he's a saint. And they presented his van in a way where they were like, this is where he murdered all these people, and just kind of lumping him in with all of these other serial killers, like he was just on the same level. And it really rubbed me the wrong way. And I just, there was a lot of things at that museum that rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
But
I've
that the
heard
whole
people say that they've seen their collections, items, and there's some claim that a lot of stuff's not even, some of it's not real, true crime stuff. I've heard different rumors about it.
I wish that was my complaint.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I'll touch on it a little bit. Zach has videos of himself throughout the entire museum, and he's saying, oh, people pass out in this room due to the negative energy, and they just feel, this spirit come over them. And he has actual like footage of people passing out, like guests. And my thing is, oh, they passed out because it's 100 something degrees in that museum. It is so hot. When I went into the lobby, like to go into the museum, I noticed how hot it was. And I asked the ladies working there, I was like, is it going to be this hot throughout the museum? And their response was like, is it hot in here? I was like, oh, I should have known. I should have walked out, because that was the whole thing. It was like a make it as uncomfortable as possible so that you feel something.
Makes sense. You
I
can't
hate
breathe in
that
there because of the heat.
because they had so many cool true crime artifacts. Like the stuff that they had was amazing, but it just was, I don't know, the experience was so bad.
Crazy. And as far as up and coming projects, I don't know. I don't think I've missed it. I can't find it. You were working on If Trees Could Talk documentary.
Yeah, so If Trees Can Talk is going to be my third feature-length documentary, and I did The Art of Self-Harm, just centered around white gardenia and their performance art, and then I did a feature-length documentary on Amanda Taylor, the selfie killer, and we are in post-production on If Trees Could Talk, a conversation with Terry Hobbs. And for those who don't know, Terry Hobbs is the stepfather of Stevie Branch, who is one of three 8-year-old boys that were murdered in the Robin Hood Hills that sparked the infamous West Memphis 3 case. And the teenagers that were charged with the murders were released after 19 years under an Alford plea, which is basically them um, saying they did it without saying they did it. Basically, it allowed them, basically, if they admitted guilt, they would get released, and then it was kind of a win-win that they get out of prison and the Department of Corrections can wash their hands and say, well, this case is closed. We don't need to investigate it any further because there was a big outcry um, of and evidence that they didn't do it. There was never any tangible evidence that was found at the crime scene linking them to the teenagers or anything like that. And so there's not a legal investigation right now on who committed the murder. But if those teenagers didn't commit the murder, then it bears the question of who did. And a lot of internet sleuths out there so, accuse Terry Hobbs of having done it.
Yeah.
And so me and um
Andrew Dodge.
Andrew Dodge, sorry. I have a traumatic brain injury and I forget people's names all the fucking time. It's funny because I've known Andrew forever. But me and Andrew Dodge, who runs the podcast Unforbidden Truth. He interviews serial killers and stuff all the time. We went out and we spent a week um, with Terry and asked him about the murders, asked him about what his life is like with these accusations and stuff, and he gave us like unfiltered access into his life. And I asked him point blank. I asked him point blank if he committed the crimes. I asked him if he didn't do it, who did. I asked him about specific accusations that have been made towards him. There's things like the Hobbs family secret, where supposedly someone heard Terry confess to it, things like that. And so
It's
I
crazy.
I asked him point blank all those questions, and um, it's a really special documentary because it's just one thing that I think has been lost within journalism is everyone tries to put their own twist on it. And what I try to do is just let the people speak for themselves and just be as objective as possible. And like, I'm not even going to put my opinion on it. And I hope that is what people see in all of my documentaries is you don't know what I think,
For sure.
I'm just interviewing these people and asking questions, and so that's kind of how this documentary is going to be is you're going to listen to Terry say his stuff, and you may think he's innocent or you might think he's guilty, but I'm just letting Terry share his experience in all of this. And so yeah, that's in post-productions and that post-production, and that will be coming out by the end of this year or be it's going to get a it's going to get a very small promotional release for the backers that have supported the project. It's going to be going out to different horror convention or not horror conventions, different conventions and things like that. And there's going to be a really small window where people can kind of get exclusive, like early access to the film before it hits the festival circuit. Because once it hits the festival circuit, we're trying to get it to get picked up by a big distributor. So um, that's the next thing on the docket. And then Reagan, why don't you tell us about the other projects that we're working on, document the podcast and stuff.
Yeah, we have Smuttopia with my best friend from elementary school, JC Brady, and we just like watch dirty movies and talk about it, and we just have a lot of fun. It's very lighthearted,
They're
which is
hilarious. I've been watching
did
them.
you
They're
watch
great.
it?
Yes, he's
Oh,
funny.
good.
I like him.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
He's cool. Good personality. Good
Oh
choice.
yeah. In
Yeah.
fact, when I met Jonathan, I kept saying like, "Oh, you'd love my friend JC." Like all of the gross, like awful things I was into is because of his influence. Like he was sending me, videos of one guy, one jar when I was a teenager, and I mean, it really influenced my whole personality. But
Yeah. It
yeah,
influenced
so
me, you two got me into watching Funky Town, which we all agreed that's not the song that stuck out in that whole thing.
No,
Oh
it is
God.
Sweet Child of Mine plays more than Funky Town.
I can't hear that song the same anymore. So
You know, you suggested a video, I think it was called like Happy Birthday or something.
it might have been a joke. It was a joke.
Oh, was it a joke?
Yeah. It's
Oh,
Looney Tunes when this is not happy birthday and he's taking him to and he'd be like a dog drags a cat in the back and beats him. No, I was joking with you.
I have autism.
Oh, no.
I don't get some of this.
That's no,
I was like,
no.
yeah, I couldn't find it on the internet. I looked.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll send it to you. It's pretty tame.
All
You
right,
can
great.
handle it. It's no big deal.
Yeah, we just wrapped up filming on the first season of Smutopia. Um, and we have plans to do, at least another season. We had so much fun doing it. And then we have our other podcast, True Crime Bedtime Stories, and that is where Jonathan and I take turns narrating a little ASMR inspired fairy tale version of true crime events.
Yeah.
It's very soothing. It's supposed to put you to sleep. And I do the editing for that, and it's my baby. I love it.
I've heard some of those too. Those are good. Yeah,
So
it
And as soon as I'm done finishing up, if trees can talk, then I'm diving headfirst back into YouTube, bringing back Cinema's Underbelly, Murderbillia Show and Tell, and so yeah, we have a lot of plans this year.
and
So
you hinted at something. You had a photograph on Instagram with two books on a table, and you're asking if that anything to anybody. Do you know what books I'm talking about?
yeah, do you
Is
know what
that
books they were?
yeah? Slender Man might have been one of the subjects. Is that something that you're looking into?
So I actually own Morgan Geyser, who got released recently. She got arrested for um, stabbing her friend, uh, for Slender Man, and was institutionalized, and now she's living in a group home because she's been doing well.
She's
Uh,
officially out now, right? So, yeah.
I don't know. Last time I read anything, they were talking about placing her under supervision in like a group home setting. Um, and there was like debate uh, because it was pretty close to where Peyton Luther lived,
Yeah.
which her victim. And
15,
Peyton,
20 miles. It was really close.
yeah, and so Peyton's like, I don't want this person close to me. So there was a lot of debate on where Morgan was going to go because of all that. But I know that she got released, but I think she was going to be put into like a supported living situation or a group home or something where she's supervised and I mean, she's out, but I think there's limitations on what she can and can't do. I'm sure there's a restraining order
Oh,
on
yeah.
where
I'm
how
sure.
close she can get and all that stuff. But when she was institutionalized, she had this plushy octopus, and there was a guy in the murderabilia scene who was dating her, and mailed him the octopus, and he ultimately sold it, and it got sold, and she wrote a little card that was her like explaining. She said, "Take good care of him. His name's Tulu. He's really great." And so he sold it, and then the card and the octopus got separated and were just being traded all around in the murderabilia scene. And coincidentally, I I made two separate purchases. I got the octopus, and then someone sent me a bundle of just stuff of like different murderabilia stuff, and in that was the card for the octopus.
That's
And so
cool.
I got both of them. And to me, it was like fate, like because I take such good care of all my stuff, and um, so I'm not in a place right now, but I'm going to ultimately like put a nice display on it, and that's going to be an episode for Murderbillia Show and Tell is talking about um the case, the Slender Man case, but also the significance of the octopus and then these pieces coming together and all of that, and then also like on the paranormal fact on the paranormal side, people talk about like all these, you hear about these haunted dolls and all these haunted things, and it's always got some lore behind it. Like this was owned by a mentally ill person or whatever. Now I actually like this is a plushie that was taken from a mental hospital for a girl that had schizophrenia and tried to kill her friend. And it's that, it's like that's an actual real life artifact of something that a lot of people create lore and stuff about.
I agree. It's definitely a relic, and that itself is a story. And you mentioned the person that originally came from. I'm not good friends with them. I do talk with them now and then, and now and again, I ask them, "You should come out with your story," because they also have influence or friendship with another popular person in the news now. And I wish that they would come out. And it seems like they may, right, play on the right
Mhm.
moment. I don't know. Were you watching? So one person I'm talking about is Ship Business.
Yeah,
No,
Taylor
no, no.
Swift. Yeah.
Yeah, Ship Business. No, it wasn't hers. It was Morgan Geyser's case, and this individual's name was thrown out there throughout it. It might have just been initials, but it was crazy to watch. Like I know that person they're talking about,
Hmm.
and I was reaching
It's
out to him, and
crazy.
yeah,
Go ahead.
I said, "You man, you need to tell this story. This would be a fucking great story to tell."
Oh yeah, so hybristophilia is like the attraction um to murderers and things like that. And he would be a interesting person. He's like the epitome of that. So
Yeah,
that'd be an interesting thing to talk about.
it would, but I can see almost why he wouldn't want to either.
Yeah, it's
And
not really well um accepted
no,
thing. Even though in my head, like there's some like you can go on social media right now and see girls drooling over Dahmer or Bundy. Everyone was talking about how the actor who played Dahmer in that show was so hot. And you can buy a shirt that says um, "Eat me like Dahmer, choke me like Bundy." So it's a lot more uh, out there than I think people recognize. But like I think being like I don't know, talking to someone who actually like writes to those people and has those kind of dynamics um, is a little far for people.
and if you're solvent, if you have the freedom of not worrying about an employer finding out about it, maybe not so much family, but you don't want it to affect your life in a
Yeah.
negative way, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, that's a whole different story. And writing female inmates is definitely a struggle. It's different. I like writing to the old dudes. Simple. We're talking about fishing, but yes, there's the younger, and I think you commented on one of my photos recently that I posted of a video visit I did, and those are interesting conversations that I have with that person. You have to keep it on just a friendship level, right? They're lonely,
Yeah.
man. They're very lonely people.
Hmm.
And some are looking for commissary money too. Some are looking for sugar daddies. But again, that's a whole different subject.
I would say the world of prison for women and the world of prison for men are entirely different.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and how you get money and how you get things is different too.
Yeah.
I would say for women in prison, sex is a commodity. It's something that you can exchange for goods and stuff. And not that that person was about that like throughout their life, but it kind of forces you into that position
Yeah.
because
I
the
don't
guard dog shit too.
I don't
So
fault them for it. I just have to let
yeah.
them know that I'm just here for friends.
Mhm.
That's all I can provide for you.
Yeah.
Wow. Uh and maybe on a funny note, so I was looking at so we want to promote your website, right? putridproductions.com. And I was looking at some of your films and I was very intrigued. And unfortunately, it's sold out, so I can't buy it. But what's with frog porn and is it coming back?
So I am a huge collector and I had a whole bunch of things from my collection that I wanted to get rid of with my move. And so I gave a big box of my stuff to Regan to sell. And one thing I collect is really bizarre porn. And so frog porn was uh, something that I got. And Um, it's been so long since I watched it. It was pretty tame, but it's got I think a person acting like a frog and footage of frogs and stuff like that. Um,
Yes, sounds good.
but one other thing that I want us to hit up on is that we're gonna soon be starting to sell props from our latest film, which Reagan, I'd like you to t talk about a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have like some of the clothing I wore in the movie, some candles that were used in the communion scene, and some of the glasses that I drank the blood and vomited into the glasses and then drank it again.
All that good
Um,
stuff.
People are already asking me for those. So, and I think we're charging what, like $350 for each? There's a
Yeah.
Should
guy, he's like, I want all of them.
500
Yeah, I
each.
know I should up the price, huh? Supply and demand.
Play that role because you do have the role of the dominatrix. You tell them what they're going to spend on it. Don't make them choose the prices you do.
I know, right? I
Yeah.
should, but I'm a soft dom.
Are
I'm very like nurturing.
you going to
What
sell
about
your?
the Bible pages we were talking about?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That we were gonna tear out Bible pages from the Bible that was in the movie and put like a bloody handprint or something. And I don't know, the people they want me to puke on these things, so I'm just gonna have to
That's
fucking
extra.
vomit on a lot of them.
No, that's yeah. They
Yeah.
got to pay for that.
$100 a page.
Yeah. Might as well. Why not?
A hundred
Might as
dollars a
well.
page and another $100 if you want puke.
Yep.
Oh dang. Yeah.
Yep.
And I did
Oh,
sell my bath water, like, or it came in the big box. A lot of people were excited about
yeah. Because you had the holy water, but it wasn't a vials of blood. I bet that was fun to do. You get kind of
Yeah.
woozy afterwards. Drink some orange juice.
I mean, it wasn't real blood, but yeah. It
Don't tell them that. It was real
Oh,
blood.
was
I'll
real
see if
blood.
I'll edit that part out.
Okay.
How about your, is it called is it the crown, the tiara that you got from was it your crown? Was it Miss Satanic? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but
Miss Satanic Witch 2025.
so what the
It's
heck
actually in the
was
background. My little
that
plushy
about?
guy's wearing it.
Yeah, that's cool. So how was that
Yeah.
experience?
Well, on a whim, I found out about this Miss Satanic pageant, and it was put on by Anton LaVey's granddaughter-in-law. Um, and so it's, legit. And I went and I was like, oh, I know what I can do. I just performed the communion scene from Majestic Flesh Faucet like live. And people, lost their minds. um, and yeah, I won the pageant.
Did
It
that
was
include
really fun.
were you was it did you vomit? Was that
I
the kicker?
I did a lot.
Right on. That's good.
I have this talent that allows me to be a flesh faucet. I can just turn it on and turn it off, and like a heavy flow, light flow. I have a talent,
Yeah.
and
That,
I was able to do that on stage. I'm actually going to do it probably more times. I have plans. Well, we have plans to go visit JC Brady in Chicago where he lives, and he has some venues that he knows of that would want me to perform there. So I'm probably going to start, taking my act on the road.
that's very cool. That we don't have that kind of shit in Colorado. Not really.
Or Australia.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think well, there was one time I saw someone who can do what I do, and it was a magician, and people were freaking out. But that's the only time I've ever seen it. In fact, like I had never even told anyone about it. My own kid didn't even know about it. But then when I found Jonathan and he's like, I make a metaphilia porn. Do you know what that is? And I was like, oh shit. Well, I have this talent that nobody else has, and let's do something.
That's great.
So I would
And
love to do it in public more. I love the shock factor, the people being like, "Oh my God, I love it."
church functions on a Sunday could be a good
Oh yeah,
time. Bar mitzvahs.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Family
comedian.
picnics.
Family picnics. Hire yourself out. Yeah. That's great. Oh shit, I can't think of anything else to ask you guys. That's stuff I've been wanting to know for a while. It's You have great pages. I enjoy sneaking on your live events, like going in there and mentioning, have you talked to Bartle today? Because he misses you and he hasn't received your signed autograph yet. He's very concerned.
Mine,
Yes.
I know. I sent him the signed autograph, the picture, and a letter, and then apparently it got lost. And I have just been so busy. I feel so bad. It's summer break for
Yeah.
my little one, and he is a cleaner. In fact, he's knocking on the door constantly during this podcast. So he doesn't like to be alone. And my time
Yeah.
has been very limited, but it is on my mind. I am going to get that out to
Yeah. Make sure you say hi to your Bartle every day. He
him.
does need watering.
I will say I don't
Yes.
have access to him like that. I don't talk to him on the chatting thing or on the phone. I only ever talked to him when I was with Jonathan. Like he would call
Yeah.
when I was with him, and that's how we would talk to each other. And so now we're just like pen pals, and I feel bad because time to write is, scary.
Letters are more fun. I like talking on the app, but I prefer letters. But
Yeah, I don't like talking to other human beings as a rule.
yeah.
So, and phone calls, they freak me out. I don't know why. Just like having to talk like what we're doing right now, back
Yeah.
and forth. But at least there's four people here, so it's not all on me. But
Yeah. I
knowing what to
agree.
say, yeah.
No,
But
and
writing is cool.
Yeah.
I hate talking to people, and I think I have active 20 pen pals, and I have usually at least two or three phone calls a day, and it's getting overwhelming. But I started this, and I got to keep up with it. So
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
the thing too, is like I would feel so guilty if I didn't answer a call, or like if I didn't do something that a person asked of me. And so I'm like, maybe just don't even start.
yeah. Well, on that note, you two, thank you for joining us. It's been great. I've been wanting to talk with you guys for a long time.
Yeah, thanks
Yeah,
for having
thanks
me.
for having us on. It's been a pleasure. And
Yeah,
Been
you're gonna come on
interesting.
again. Yeah, thank you.
It's
thanks for
very
saying
interesting.
definitely always
We don't
interesting.
have access to this in Australia. So it's
Yeah, we're not just true crime, we're a whole bunch of weird things.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. You guys have good stories. Well,
Lots of
my,
fetishes and kinks.
Yep.
Yeah, keep it weird, keep it
keep it
entertaining.
weird. On that note, my name is Jeff. This is the Jeff Show with Sharon, Regan, and Jonathan. Everyone have a great weekend.
You
Bye.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.